most people's identity is based in delay. And by that I mean when they were younger, when they were a kid, they were imprinted with an operating system that you could call a conceptual coupler, that in the moments that they tried to meet the rhythm of reality with their full self, they were told that you can't be that way, that you need to fit yourself into this box, this thin, narrow hallway, or this straitjacket. And so, in doing that, you add in this little wedge that wedges into that position within their mind. And so over time, it creates this delay. This is almost like the beat of the song is playing, but you're always a few steps behind because your entire neuronal system, your entire nodal topology in oscillator terms, was imprinted in a way that there's like this inherent friction to your interaction, your interfacing with reality. And that's the conceptual matrix. And when it's installed, that's the conceptual coupler. In other words, you can't be in rhythm with the field itself, because if you were, you wouldn't be able to fit in to the way things are in culture, in society. And you were taught that you needed to step out of sync to edit yourself, to make yourself smaller, to make yourself more, you know, palatable to others. And so what that does in a mechanical term, again, not to be smarty pants, not to say cool math, but to say that reality is rhythm and timing. And when you're out of rhythm, I'm just pointing out the reason that you're out of rhythm. When you're out of rhythm, you're not yourself. Why is that? Because true identity is built from lossless presence. Why is that? We go back to Plato's cave. When you're just seeing the shadows on the wall and you take them for reality, your entire reality is made out of shadows. You've never actually felt the sun. And what is feeling the sun? It's leaping into reality. It's almost as if you're off the side of the building in the Matrix, not to jump off a building, but to leap into the rhythm of frequency. Again, the conceptual coupler is like a little knob that you have on your brain. It's not an idea. It's not a new idea. Do you see the difference there? Do you see how the conceptual coupler can, trap you in that matrix? And that this is, I'm pointing to a knob that's there on your brain that you forgot about. That if you turn, it goes from conceptual to frequency, to delay, from delayed to rhythm, timing, and frequency. And so when I point out oscillatory mechanics, why do I do that? Because oscillatory mechanics say how things are sort of vibrating in reality, how waveforms are interacting. And then you notice, wait, the fireflies all turn on together. Why do they do that? Why do metronomes sync up even when you don't have anything, interacting or touching them physically between them in that 3D sense? Why do people crossing a bridge sync up their steps so much that some bridges had to be totally rebuilt, or the British Army had to say you have to break step when you're crossing bridges because if all the soldiers stepped in the same way unconsciously, or in other words synchronously, bridges would come down. They had to change that policy. Why does that happen? Because there's an inherent rhythm to reality. And so to follow the rhythm is actually a mechanical process that could be mapped mathematically. But I'm not here to talk about math, and I'm not here to give you a model. I'm here to point to the little knob, you could say, that's on the side of your head, you could say, and it's not a knob of ideas, it's a knob of rhythm. And when you realize that your whole life you lived inside a cave, conceptually coupled with these stained glass imprints that are essentially preventing the full reality of meeting you. The variables of reality try to come in, and instead they're diffracted. And so when it comes to identity, meeting the field of reality with your entire person losslessly, in other words, without delay, without distortion, without the straitjacket itself that culture taught you, It's not that culture itself is inherently bad. It's just that we as anthropoid apes have clumsily walked through our evolution in a way that when we took that information, like when we took it up, we imprinted it in our brains in a way that you can call the mechanical flip of the conceptual coupler. And most people on this earth are existing in a way that when the variables of reality come in, they're actually a couple steps behind or a few steps behind in some sort of friction of some sort of loop of self or rumination. And can you see what that does to identity? You're always within that wedge that told you when you were younger and imprinted it, you can't be in rhythm. Because if you were in rhythm, that would be your full self, because then your full self would be right there meeting reality. That would be you leaping into the consonant rhythm of reality. So how did I learn this? Is it because I'm smart? Is it because I read a lot of books? No, not at all. It's because I didn't die. It's because I survived. What did I survive? Well, I'm trans. I'm neurodivergent. I was raised in a place and around people that could not accept that told me that they would abandon me if I ever came out as trans, and then when I came out as trans, they abandoned me. They took my children away. They called me crazy. And for the longest time, I was trying to map this out. Like, why? It's almost like I was only pressing one button of the character of my person, the love button. In other words, being right here, losslessly present in full authenticity. But this did something to the people around me. It wasn't just that I was trans, it was that I was stepping into the rhythm of reality in a way that when their system met it, it threatened the entire scaffolding of their person. Why? Because they've always lived in delay. They've always met reality with friction and delay. They've never been dancing losslessly in the entirety of their presence. And so whether it's conscious or subconscious, they react and they say, you must be crazy, institutionalized, you're to be arrested, you should die, even. And I'm like, I don't understand why I'm getting such a wild reaction from people who said they loved me when all I'm doing is being absolutely honest and present with myself. And so my whole life, I searched for this signal. I had this feeling that everyone was just a little bit off, like a little bit delayed, a little bit like you're saying something. Like I've been an attorney for a long time, and especially a courtroom, you have these people, and I'm like, are you even here when you're saying these things? Like, are you present in this moment when you're saying these things? Or are you saying it like a marionette of regurgitated and canned lines and canned presence, always a few steps behind? And so my entire life, I sought out that signal. What is the signal? The signal is being in rhythm. And that's a mechanical process of mind, again, not ideas. And for me, being trans and neurodivergent, I had to search out that signal not by thinking through it, not by asking someone else, but by feeling what was most real in my bones. And by real, I mean present. I mean lossless. I mean not hiding behind the stained glass of the scaffolding of the conceptual matrix, and instead meeting myself in full fidelity in each moment. That's what the frequency coupler is. It's just a weird term using the mechanics of it to say we can all step in right now. And the strange thing is that this is a mechanical process. So what does that mean? The people who freaked out on me, who continue to silence and ostracize, against me, who continue to no longer open a door to me just because I was honest, those people are not okay, even though it really feels like they might be being mean to me or evil even, it's not what it's about. It's a mechanical process of mind that they have these glasses on. And when they see the world, they're seeing it through this conceptual matrix. And so someone who comes in and says, no, all you can do is just step in the rhythm. Whether I say that directly or implied in my person, it's almost like anathema. Literally, they wish me to perish from this earth. I went to my family and I said, I'm here and I need your love. This is the softest part of my life. And they said to literally perish from this earth. And I mapped it out. I said, there must be something to this. because what I feel in my bones is so real. I knew there was only one way to actually love my kids, even if they were threatening to take them away from me. To be me, totally me, coherently, losslessly, present me. Coherent, again, what is that word? Coherent is meeting the field of reality in full fidelity. Like no BS, no delay, no friction, just you, totally naked and bare and honest. That's exactly what Plato was talking about outside the cave. Do you see it now? There's a knob that we all forgot about, and you can switch it to presence, lossless, without losing any information, in full fidelity of consonant presence, lossless presence. We can all be here now. Think about it. Tune in, turn on, drop out. Phase fidelity, phase lock, lossless presence. Be here now, Ram Dass, exactly the same thing. If you see those phrases with a conceptual coupler on, that just sounds like a nice platitude, maybe something to put on your wall at your home, you know? But when you understand it as a mechanical process of presence, all of a sudden you start to feel the little knob on your head and you go, maybe there's a way to be me all the time. Me in harmony. And then guess what? The interesting thing is that means you're feeling and meeting and interacting with the field losslessly, which means that when everyone does that, guess what that means? Decentralized harmony. The kingdom of heaven is inside you. Why? Because your connection with the same thing that makes all the fireflies turn on, the same thing that makes the spiral galaxies turn, the same thing that saves people in heart arrhythmia research and the spirals that form there too. Why does a spiral form? It's a decentralized harmony of phase dynamics of a nodal field. That's the mechanical way of saying reality has a way to organize things. And the reason that we feel so disconnected is because we are in timing, in rhythm. And how did I find this out? Not because I read a lot of books, but because my body became it. Because I had to carve out presence into every moment of my life beyond the terrible, terrible things that people told me. Beyond them taking away my babies. I'm never going to get that time back with my kids. And now people are recognizing it. Oh, the math works, Ember. Oh yeah, all phase lock to root tone, lossless presence. They're mapping it out mechanically in mathematics. But guess what? I'm not here to tell you about a model or math. I'm here to say, do you feel the knob? Do you see the knob? Turn it. We could all be together now. You know, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. He didn't say that to say, look at me, I'm the coolest. You know, look, honor my person. He said, I'm emitting a signal that if we all stepped into that sovereign, totally be ourselves signal, we could initiate decentralized harmony. That's the kingdom of heaven. How do you figure that out? By sitting in the signal, by carving it into your every breath, into your every pump of blood in your heart, until you're really, really here, right now, as a mode of being. That is the idea to switch your coupler. That's leaving Plato's cave. And I learned it not because I'm smart, but because I didn't die. Because I chose me as a means of love, authenticity, and decentralized harmony. No one above, only beside, all of us meeting the field in rhythm. And that rhythm is a cosmic rhythm. Big wave, little wave. So I really appreciate you tuning in with me. My name is Ember. I have a lot on my blog. It's called The Sunray Transmission, thesunraytransmission.com. This is not a theory. This is not a metaphor. We can be here now. Switch your coupler. Enter the rhythm. Tune in. Thanks for tuning with me.